back against attacks on press freedom. We'll hear from founder of Ghana's first private radio station, Dr. Charles Rekubrobe, on why he met the president in the wake of the shutdown of 2 radio stations this year.
You need to come together. And unless you all come together and fight this whole thing together.
So you're prepared to take this back to the Supreme Court?
Absolutely. It reminds me of a Dubois and Hines culture of silence.
We'll hear from the GJA and the Media Foundation for West Africa.
Also in this edition, undercover journalist Anas Remiao Anas describes as needless and a total waste of resources police CID's involvement in case against Charles Bisu, the former secretary to the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. We have more reactions following his exoneration, and it's official. Ghana now has the law on vigilantism and related offences as Parliament passes the bill after 3 months of consideration.
You can go to jail for up to 15 years and more, and you can be heavily fined and unable to pay such a fine, the consequence of which will be imprisonment. We only strengthen certain aspects of these legislations to ensure that we address appropriately the needs of the time.
But the minority is unhappy the bill was passed without considering the Emil Short Commission report.
Did the commission come out with recommendations? Are the recommendations known to you, the public, the media? From where we sit, we don't know of any recommendation. It is in the interest of all of us that the commission's report is published.
Tonight, we explore the content of the bill as it awaits presidential assent.
And in business, controversial toll debt reaches 1.85 billion Ghana cedis and in April this year.
And in sports, Enugu Rangers goalkeeper Fatau Dauda has cautioned Kumasi Asante Kodoko not to underestimate Nigerian side Kano Pillars in the upcoming CAF Champions League tie.
And later, a member of parliament for Lejekuku constituency optimistic upgrade of 7.5-kilometer Lekma stretch will be over within 12 months more, as he says will ensure the road is fixed. Headlines on NEWSNITE is brought to you by Eden Heights. Eden Heights, welcome home.
And NEWSNITE is brought to you by Puma Card from Puma Energy, cash-free convenience. NMFI today has been a day of some real work as far as our fraternity is concerned. There's a call to action as a multimedia group working with the Ghana Journalists Association, the Media Foundation for West Africa, and colleagues from other press houses collaborate to raise awareness and push back against attacks on press freedom. This year we mark, and guess what? I don't know if you know this, 25 years since the first private radio station. Guess the name of that radio station?
Radio Zoe?
No, Radio I.
Radio I
Hit the airwaves, challenging the status quo and breaking ground for the flourishing of a vibrant media market. We'll speak to the man behind Radio I who really pushed the boundaries of press freedom quite hard, together with the current president, Danka Akufo-Addo, who represented him when the state came after him, Dr. Charles Rekubrobe shortly. But there have been challenges recently with Ghana dropping in the World Press Freedom Rankings. So with the hashtag Defend Media Freedom, partners and defenders of press freedom have joined forces to stop the further erosion of our freedoms.
My name is Daniel Daze.
Bernard Avle.
Kwame Sefakan.
Bright Nana Amfo.
David Ando.
Virginia Tenkran.
Edward Kwabi.
Joseph Akable.
Kojo Akutubating.
Umaru Sandaman.
Alfred Okanse.
Captain Smart.
Nana Majimana Sante.
Samson Ladi Anyenini.
Press freedom means
protection to journalists
to go about their work without any form of inhibitions,
undue influence,
hindrance or intimidation or fear,
free from harassment.
Like a banker would go to their bank and work in the morning, like a teacher would go to the classroom in the morning and teach. And
the opportunity and the space to operate and keep the powers that be in check, and also to drive growth. So press freedom
is that which enables me to tell the stories that matter the most to the audience.
And then to be able to hold powerful people accountable.
Press freedom to me means that I have
a legal backing, support of the state, support of the security agencies to be able to
be fair to be probing and to be development oriented.
Press freedom is absolute freedom, but freedom with some responsibility. It's very vital for the survival of any democracy. In fact, I feel it is part of the birthright of every citizen.
So yeah, without press freedom, there can be no press.
Now, the thing about this, MFA, is that globally there's a recognition that, the world is becoming less safe for journalists. And this is a shocking statistics that with one practitioner being killed every 5 days for bringing information to the public. Of course, in Ghana, that practitioner who was added to the global statistic was assassinated at Medina here in Accra in January this year. Ahmed Hussein Swale had worked with the Tiger Eye PI on the number 12 expose on corruption in football in Ghana. His murder, as well as that of Saudi-born journalist Jamal Khashoggi, inspired the first global media freedom conference by the UK and Canada to rally governments around the world, including Ghana, to take urgent action to stop attacks on media practitioners. Israel was at the conference in London and filed this report.
The event brought together delegates from over 100 countries, including journalists, academics, civil society groups championing media freedoms, as well as government representatives. Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland provided frightening statistics to underscore the need for the conference.
Today, journalism is difficult and dangerous work. UNESCO reports that last year alone, 99 members of the media were killed around the world. And by the end of last year, Reporters Without Frontiers says 348 journalists were in prison. In fact, the 4 deadliest recorded years for journalists have occurred within the past decade.
Conference co-host, the UK's Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt, highlighted why journalists, though may make mistakes, are so important in any society.
The strongest safeguard against the dark side of power is accountability and scrutiny. And few institutions fulfill that role more effectively than a free media. Real accountability comes from the risk of exposure by a media that cannot be controlled or suborned. And the evidence for this is very clear. Of the 10 cleanest countries in the world, as ranked by Transparency International, 7 are also in the top 10 of the World Press Freedom Index. Meanwhile, of the 10 most corrupt countries, 4 are in the bottom 10 for media freedom. Now, powerful people value their reputations. So the sunlight of transparency is the greatest deterrent to wrongdoing.
He advised his colleague politicians around the world they are better off with a media that feels free to criticize governments.
For those of us who are sometimes on the receiving end of criticism, we should also reflect on the wisdom of Nelson Mandela, when he said, "The media are a mirror through which we see ourselves and others perceive us, warts, blemishes and all. Such criticism can only help us to grow by calling attention to those of our actions and omissions which do not measure up to our people's expectations."
The UK Special Envoy on Press Freedom, Amal Clooney, made the point that the defense of media freedom encompasses the regulatory framework governing the operations of media houses.
And the indictment against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has alarmed journalists at newspapers around the world, including the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and the Guardian, because, as the editor of the Washington Post has put it, it, quote, criminalizes common practices in journalism that have long served the public interest. With many governments also insulting and threatening journalists and seeking to throttle media organizations through strict controls on ownership, licensing, and online activity, we have reached the point where there are few places in the world where journalists are not surveilled, harassed, disenfranchised, or subject to self-censorship.
Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah, who was at the head of the Ghana delegation, considered government's record on press freedom has suffered a dent in recent years.
Unfortunately, as the world goes through a period of attacks on media,
Ghana in recent years has also experienced its share, despite our good track record. The worst being the cold-blooded murder of Ahmed Swale, believed to be connected with his work as an associate of the media organization Tiger Eye PI. Regrettably, our investigative agencies have not made much headway in arresting and punishing perpetrators and of this and other acts of intimidation. Indeed, it appears we took our media excellence and public tolerance for granted. But now, we have had to face up to the challenging and changing realities and do more. Abuse and attack on journalists cannot and must not be accepted. It must not only be condemned, but must be fought head-on.
The conference established a multi-million-dollar fund for the safety of journalists, a number of initiatives for the defense and protection of media freedom, including an international task force to help governments deliver on their commitment made at the conference, were also announced. So the UK and Canada have taken the lead in the defense of media freedom and managed to rally a good number of countries to come along. Politicians the world over would, however, not willingly pursue this cause unless their citizens also appreciate why this is of critical importance, so they could bring pressure to bear in ensuring that the right of the journalists to report facts freely and to defend, expose, and advance the truth without fear of retaliation, reprisal, violence, or imprisonment is guaranteed. Back home in Accra, I ask myself, do the citizens know that the role of the journalist is so important? That probably could be a good point to start. Israel Lying, Joy News.
And that's Israel reporting from London recently, but also has been here in Ghana as part of this coordinator. Therefore, shortly we'll hear from the GJA Media Foundation for West Africa, Ken Ashigbe and others who are putting your shoulders to the wheel. MFA.
And of course, Dr. Rieko Brobe as well. We're waiting for that interview. But Raymond Akwa is one of the lead campaigners in this whole Defend Media Freedom campaign. He joins us in the studio. So Raymond, generally, how many violations have we collated and within which period?
So we specifically are looking at February 2017 to June 2019, just last month, as far back as the beginning of the tenure of the president in this particular case. We are specifically looking at 41 different violations, 41 across the period that we are dealing with in this case.
Well, break it down for us though. Which forms of violations predominate the list?
Let's look at, of course, we know of the killing of Ahmed, which is killing one, 2, assault on journalists, which is the predominant one. 21 of those incidents within a period, attacks on media houses separated from assault on the individuals in this case, which is 4 of them, arbitrary arrest and detentions, there are 2 of them, threats, 6 different ones, and seizure and destruction of equipment, there are 4 of them, and shutdown is 2, torture as separated from the attacks on journalists is this particular one, only in a single one. So all put together, we're looking at 41 separate incidents in this particular case.
So we've mentioned the likes of Swale, for instance. We're going down to specifically the key ones. You've mentioned Swale. Which other cases do we know?
We know of what happened to Latifa, the police headquarters. We also know that in July 2017, a TV3 crew was actually attacked. There were 3 of them in this particular team. Well, I mean, of course, within that month of 2017, there are a lot of incidents like that. In October, there was a chief who assaulted a journalist over some WhatsApp criticism. That's the Omahino of the Wasako area, and the journalist's name is Larry Saint. We also know that the tax storm Radio Justice in December 2017. Let's fast forward to February 2018. Now we know that Christopher Kelvin Asima, who is a presenter of A1 Radio in Bogatanga, was attacked, and this across the country, let's be clear. And May 4, 2018, the known NPP activist Hajia Fati, we know that she assaulted Ohima Sechua of Adom FM, and other incidents that are very familiar to all of us in this case is really what happened to our cameraman Jonathan Ajay at the NDC's campaign meeting, and this happened in the central region. We also know of the incidents involving Hassan Ariga's team that attacked journalists, and again Karin Dodu and the TV3 lady who went to the men's good office were equally attacked in the course of their duties. You can fast forward to April this year when fire service personnel stormed the radio station, which is called Storm, actually the radio station, and attacked staff there just because they believed that a call place to that particular station came from there and was a host. So they didn't think that the people in the station ought to do what they had to do. And specifically, I did mention the case of course, in June 2019, we know that David Ankoma, who works with us here, was also attacked. I've not brought in Packer, who is just behind the scenes there. I've also not mentioned the other very relevant incidents that have happened over the period that we've all complained about specifically. And it's an interesting development. One of the few times this has happened for a very long time is a shutdown and the closure of radio stations. We know the pro-opposition radio stations that were also shut down. They are part of the incidents that are recorded as violations of the media freedom and the space that we operate in.
And you know Dr. Charles Rekrubobe, the man who founded Radio I back in 1994. And interestingly, this year will mark 25 years since Radio I really broke grounds for private, radio broadcasting to flourish. He has been assessing the press freedom under this current government, but also over the last few years. And he actually has wrote to the president and met the president in the wake of the shutdown of the pro and NDC stations, Radio Gold and XYZ, and other issues that he felt were sort of ironical and shouldn't be happening under the watch of a man who represented him when his Radio I became an attack from the then government, etc. I'm talking about Nana Akufo-Addo. And so he had written to the president and he spoke to the president, had an audience with the president and made proposals on how government can sort of undo what he believed to be the damage that they were doing to press freedom. He has a really sharp assessment of how this government's record on president compares with others, and he's seen Rawlings, he's seen John Kufuor, he's seen John Mahama, he's seen Mills, and now he's seen Nana Akufo-Addo. You have to wait and listen to what he says, his own assessment of this current government's record on press freedom and how it compares to others in the past. This is an interview I did with him, an excerpt from an interview that's going to be played in full on PM Express tonight. Listen, he starts by talking about what he told the president when he met him.
Because I do not believe that the president authorized this action, for the first time under his tenure, I actually sought an audience with him and said, look, this is not the right thing.
You did?
I did, and I met him on the 8th of May this year. And I said, no, I think that this is now an opportunity that the wrongs that you so strongly fought against must be corrected. And I have suggested a way that he can proceed to get the correction.
You make a point about writing to the president, Nana-Addo.
Yeah, not just writing to him, I met him.
You met him?
Yes.
And he knew this was the conversation you're going to have with him?
Yes, because I'd sent the letters ahead of me.
You wrote to him first?
Yeah, I wrote to him and I met
complaining
him.
About what was happening?
No, I wasn't complaining. I don't complain. I always suggest action.
Actions, okay.
But
your issue specifically was what? The shutdown of the two radio stations?
No. It was not a shutdown. My issues did not even include the shutdown of the stations. It was going back to the fight we had started.
Okay.
What I said was that, look, this is what we fought for. You are now in the position to do something about it. And I said that if indeed the court process has been exhausted, the Constitution grants permission to Parliament to make laws. So those amendments can be made to the NCA rule. Because Evans...
NCA rule to do what exactly? What are you amending?
What NCA is saying that they have to allocate frequencies and therefore you need authorization from them.
Yeah.
It's bunkum. Publicly... I would have liked to have seen both the president, Kweku Sechiado, and Kandapa make pronouncements on this particular development.
They haven't said anything?
They have said nothing. And that is really, in a sense, a negligence of their sworn commitment to media freedom. And in fact, you see, what I suggested to the president was that he should set up a committee under the chairmanship of Anthony Akoto-Ampao, who is probably the most knowledgeable on media law and freedoms and things in this Ghana. Bring in the NCA, bring in the NMC, bring in other technical people so that they can make recommendations to him on how we can deal with this unfortunate development and reinforce the media freedom that we've established in the last 20 years.
Yeah, but what should the media do then? I mean,
you need to come together. And unless you all come together and fight this whole thing together, and I know that it's unfortunate it's happened under my brother's time, but I believe that the right thing will be done, and I believe that the Supreme Court, if it doesn't have copies, I will lend them copies of the concise Oxford English Dictionary, so we don't get into this kind of absurdity again. So
you're prepared to take this back to the Supreme Court?
Absolutely.
And challenge what has happened recently?
No, prepared to with you people, yes. With Giba, with GJ, with everybody else coming along. It reminds me of a Dubois Hines culture of silence. You know, the government of the party that believed in the rule of law and the freedom of speech and expression and Kabi and everything is inadvertently, because I have no evidence to suggest that it has taken specific divisions, but it's inadvertently recreating a culture of silence in Ghana. Because if you don't condemn and you do not reprobate,
it's amazing that
and you do not
culture of silence in 2019, that you're hearing echoes of it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because
that's such a chilling thing to say. Because
I'm sorry, I need to be very chilling.
Yeah, I mean, but here's a controversial question then. If you're looking at the government, you've lived and seen all the governments since the Fourth Republic. Yes. You started Radio I, the challenges that you face in the Rollins.
Don't forget, I'm an energy expert. I'm not a Radio I.
Absolutely. People forget that. You obviously served under Kufuor, and you.
I served under Jerry Rawlings
as well.
And Rawlings' first government.
You've seen Mills.
Yes.
You've seen John Mahama.
I have served
who himself was touted as a media person.
Yeah.
And you've seen this current government. What is your assessment of how these various governments are performing in terms of press freedom? Have we improved over the years, or are we retrogressing?
I wouldn't want to give a ranking, except to say that the current government has been the worst.
That is harsh.
It's not harsh. You see,
has been the worst since what?
In the Fourth Republic.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, but so somebody questioned that and say, how can you say that when under Rawlings, people like Kweku Baku were jailed, criminal libel or slapped on people, newspapers were shit bombed?
No. What I'm saying is that
isn't that the worst period? After the
No. You see, I will tell you something. All those things.
No journalist has been jailed under this government.
No. Well,
people were jailed because they were journalists for what they've done.
You don't have to be put into prison to say that press freedom has been oppressed. Okay?
And that is as controversial as always. It doesn't hold back. Dr. Charles Okubobe. You want to listen to the full interview on PM Express tonight. That's and how he justifies that session that the current regime and that as far as press freedom is concerned is the worst he's seen in the Fourth Republic. Because I really pushed him on that, but also his sessions on the DTT migration. He also talks about what he knows as far as the modern Ghana journalists and the rating of their offices is concerned. A lot of things he says about what the media can do. He also says, by the way, that he is going to take these matters up in court again if the president and his government doesn't follow through with the commitments they've made and also implement at least some of the suggestions he put forward to the president when he met him recently on these matters. You want to join me on PMS tonight as we expand this a bit more. Today, as part of this campaign, we've been hearing from the Ghana Journalists Association. This is the president of the association, Afomoni.
So the system should be seen to be dealing surgically with the perpetrators of attack against journalists. But what makes it so difficult, hellishly difficult to deal with, is where the perpetrators are so politically connected or they are part of the security system. Then the show continues.
Suleiman Abrama with the Media Foundation for West Africa, they're also partnering in this particular campaign. He was also part of the launch today, talking about this. They've been putting together this and financing journalists who feel under threat. He believes this is something that must be sustained.
Let me start by commending Multimedia for this laudable campaign. Of course, over the years, one of the critical challenges in dealing with press freedom advocacy has been the concern that even as we speak about it, we talk about it, litigate about them, the journalists and media houses that are the victims sometimes do not show the concern. So it is really encouraging and commendable that Multimedia has decided to embark on this campaign.
Former media manager and also currently the chief executive of the Ghana Telecoms Chamber, Ken Ashigbe, who's been at the forefront of fighting for media freedom for years now, also says that this is something that is long overdue.
The tendency to try to link the beating attack of journalists with unprofessional journalism, that nexus is akin to saying that rape is happening because people are dressing in a... We need to deal with that and deal with that very comprehensively and improve on it. But then we need to also look at this whole conversation and look at the underlying factors, because there's a plethora of them, and ensure that we are dealing with them. Okay. But for me, I think one of the big ones is because this has never happened. This thing that we're doing has never happened. Most of the time, the journalists themselves do not take this thing seriously.
And that is Ken Ashigbe there. So listening to NEWSNITE. Remember the hashtag. The hashtag is
Defend Media Freedom.
Okay, you want to join us on the many social media platforms, and let's push this. Tomorrow we'll hear from others who had fought for this and probably be in prison as well,
including Kwesi Pratt.
And reports that's cataloging our history so far that we've come. And you can join the campaign wherever where you can, but mainly hashtag Defend Media Freedoms.
All over the world, the media are the eyes and the ears of the society.
And we forget that without media freedom, our democracy is completely non-existent.
In Ghana today, 31 journalists have been attacked. In the past year, one has died, while many others are still living with the wounds of these attacks.
And it got crazy. They beat me with sticks, with their hands, with their boots, with the bats of the gun. They hit my head multiple times. I started smelling blood in my head and fat, and there was blood.
Ghana has dropped 4 points in the latest ranking of the World Press Freedom Index.
Respect for press freedom. The media is all of us. It's you, it's me.
It's time to defend media freedom in Ghana.
The protection of journalists is not about when the incident has happened already, but mechanisms that are put in place to ensure that it will be unattractive for somebody to think of abusing a journalist.
Hashtag Defend Media Freedom.
Protective of our Ghanaian brand. 10 years of Texas, 10 years of loyalty. Your success, our passion. Oh yeah, your success, our passion.
Your success, our passion.
Get 100% bonus when you top up airtime with Vodafone Cash. Dial *110# to top up now. If you know, you know.
The future is exciting. Ready?
Thank you, folks. On my A list today, show some love for Contractor EB. So, Contractor, what do you think about the country's changing skyline?
Oh, send them down there, Shurima. Across skyline, they change you, papa.
Wow. Contractor, don't you get worried when you hear of buildings collapsing?
I'm not for an answer on Tassam. It is the likability of using low quality product.
Please explain why.
Yeah, cement is no quality on your gasem. Village of Fefio. It was built with gasem. Says the gasem is your construction. Osi ho pumping. She N1 KJT market. Kotokana Kumasi Airport. Cape Coast Stadium. Atwabu gas project in na. Gasebo. Messi what the quality. You know what is quality.
Gasem. 3 cement grades. Greater value. Gasem. The nation builder.
You're still listening to NEWSNITE here on Joy 99.7 FM. Still to come here, Member of Parliament for Lejekuku constituency Bernard Okoboy optimistic that upgrade of 7.5 kilometer Lekma stretch will be over soon. We'll hear from the Minister for Roads and Highways also, who is giving a 6-month definite period for the completion of that road. We have business now. George Wiafi joins us in studio. George, what's in business?
Well, coming up in business, the controversial toll debt reaches 1.85 billion Ghana cedis ending April this year. And Nigerian traders make a case for the ECOWAS laws to be reviewed. Some Ghanaian traders close shops of these foreigners at the Opera Square here in Accra. The business news on NEWSNITE is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you?
Promo way there, I had the. Some you use me mumu. If you say MTN Exima Chadiano, Edia to table. Brand new Samsung 65-inch UHD Smart TV. And a brand new 2019 Hyundai. And a 3,000 Ghana there. You should say mono. MTN Momo. Still, Misaka, the journey of 1,000 smiles. Yashasya 10 years ago. And to celebrate this milestone, MTN give you away exciting prizes in the MTN Momo Attend promo. Yeah, you use Momo no. You could win one of the 2019 Hyundai i10 cars. Yes, some or Samsung Smart TVs for baby. And they up to 3,000 cedis e-cash every month. And a grand prize, 2019 Hyundai Santa Fe in the MTN Momo Attend promo. Into signing on and they keep using your MTN Momo. Now when you big, if it's Abriya, you see August only on Ghana's best network. Dial *120#. Now check your points. Terms and conditions apply. Just Momo it. We're there for you everywhere you go.
But the best, we stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302 764 101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Imagine living in a world of comfort and luxury. In a well-planned and gated community with access to an ultra-modern sports complex which has Olympic-sized swimming pools, football, basketball, athletics, and gym facilities. I'm talking about Eden Heights, the new destination for luxury in Ghana. Eden Heights is developed with the highest grade of finishing in our penthouses and our 1 to 4 bedroom apartments, and is located close to the beach resorts along the Atlantic Ocean, about 30 minutes drive from the airport and 5 minutes walk from the West Hills Mall. Eden Heights is the ideal location for luxury. Visit us at edenheights.com.gh or email to sales@edenheights.com.gh or call us on 050-153-1444 or 050-153-1445 for more information. Eden Heights, welcome home.
Honey, I need to get some.
But I don't have cash on me. Let me get some fuel quickly and let's go.
And how are you going to get the fuel? I thought you said you didn't have cash on you. What is this one?
My Puma card.
All it takes is a card. The Puma card allows you to buy fuel cash-free from all Puma energy filling stations. You can use your Puma card with any Visa point of sale and ATM across the country. The Puma card also works on mobile money. You get amazing discounts when you fill up with your Puma card. So register for free and get your Puma card instantly at any Puma filling station.
And you only got one for yourself, eh?
Yeah, would I have had my peace of mind?
Oh, thank you, honey.
And where are you going?
I'm getting something from the shop real quick. I need to test the card.
Puma card. Cash-free convenience. Joy 99.7 FM.
Welcome back to Business on NEWSNITE. Now, the much talked about oil refinery debt has raised 1.85 billion Ghana cedis ending April this year. This was after 1.1 billion Ghana cedis of the debt was cleared by the company set up to actually manage the sector debt, that is the ESLA PLC. There is more in the following Business Desk report.
The toll debt is said to have come about as a result of Toll's inability in the past to pay back some borrowing from the banks to finance the operations. This was as a result of commercial losses and the inability to sell crude processed to help pay back some of these loans. The development resulted in laws being passed in 2003 that would permit the application of levies on the price build-up of diesel and petrol to help clear these debts. However, there have been questions on how these taxes have been administered and whether the time has come to remove these levies. This is because some have argued that petroleum prices are high just because there are too many taxes on each litre of product sold. It has been argued also that the only way out is to remove some of the levies on the price build-up. But judging from the latest statement from the Tema Oil Refinery, there is still a lot of debt to be cleared. The refinery in the statement said that some measures being instituted by the Finance and Energy Ministry would help deal with this challenge.
And that was a Business Desk report. In a related development, the Tema Oil Refinery has been speaking about the debt and reports that it is making losses. Daniel Appiah is head of finance at the refinery. He first spoke about the toll debt and also speaking about issues to clarify about its current financial position.
But I realize that every month, because it's not been paid, it will be attracting interest. And then when you convert, most of them denominated in US dollars, when you convert into CD, depending on the exchange rate, you may also attract some exchange losses. So, yes, that's that cumulative to April 30th, we have 1.85. But come May, when you apply the monthly interest and converting from the dollar to the city, you have a different number. Yes. So unless it is paid, you still have it growing, although we are not attracting any new debt.
This is more of a clarification of the debt, that in terms of gross, this was your position, but after the necessary deductions, it recorded a loss.
Yes.
Going forward, what is being done to improve your position, sir?
So we're trying to cut costs. We're trying to keep our plant consumption very low. We're trying to manage our utilities as electricity and water. So by and large, those are the things we're doing. And on the revenue side, we're trying to up our revenue. We're trying to get continuous supply of crude. Once you process, you have the same fixed cost. You realize that the fixed cost per unit will fall. And that will certainly pass through to the loss position.
And that is Mr. Daniel Appiah. He's head of finance at Tema Oil Refinery. Now, the managing director of Zenith Bank, Eniro, has indicated that the interest rates could be going down further in the coming months. Now, this is based on improvement in some of the variables that impact on interest rate charges in the country. Speaking to Joy, Mr. Oro rejected arguments that banks have not responded accordingly to the recent cuts in policy rate by the Bank of Ghana.
Don't forget, lending rate was up about 24%, 25% about a couple of years ago. Today, most banks are lending under 20%, 18%, 19%, even 17%, sometimes 16%. Policy rate is at 16%. So if you ask me, those rates have trended down. They will still come down. So for us as Zenith, we are trending our rates down on both sides, both on the deposit taking side and on the lending side. And I believe my colleagues in the other banks are doing the same. So I think we should give it some time and there will be same. So I think we should give it some time and there will be improvement in those areas.
Managing Director and Chief Executive of Zenith Bank Ghana, Henry Oro. Now, the President of the Nigerian Union Traders in Ghana, Chief Chinemeku Ineji, tells Joy Business a review in the ECOWAS trading laws can resolve the long-standing tussle between Ghanaian and foreign traders in those retail space. Earlier today, some members of the Ghana Electrical Dealers Association locked up shops owned by foreigners at the Opera Square here in Accra. Meanwhile, Mr. Ineji has believed that the review in these laws can help deal with the situation.
We cannot bring hoodlums among ourselves. We cannot create bandits among ourselves. There's ECOWAS protocol that gives Nigerians right to trade in Ghana. What the ECOWAS law says, protocol says is all the members of the state citizens have the same right. And I want you to understand the word means the same right. That the citizens of ECOWAS should do the same thing everywhere. That is, have the same right in trade. If you a Ghanaian travel to Nigeria, you go to register general, just like we do in Ghana, and get your business registered.
And that is the Chief Chukwuemeka Inaji. He's president of the Nigerian Union Traders in Ghana. Cocoa Board has denied reports struggling to get a buyer for its cocoa bean for the 2020-2021 crop season. According to Cocoa Board and its subsidiary Cocoa Marketing Company, they actually embarked on a market sounding after the introduction of this living income differential and weighed the market reaction and argues that there has nothing to do with respect to them struggling to get a buyer for this bean sales for that particular season. And that's all for business on NEWSNITE.
Thank you very much, George, for the latest.
And so listening to NEWSNITE here on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, if you live in Lekma, and Lekma is a short form of
Lejekuku Krowo Municipal Assembly.
If you live in that area and you're affected by that deplorable
stretch, it's
7.5
kilometers. It's been described as a road that causes a lot of miscarriage, the road that gives a lot of respiratory tract infections.
There is some good news for you tonight because we're now hearing from the Roads and Highways Minister, Ms. Christian Mwakwata, who has been saying what exactly?
He says that within 6 months, that road should be fixed.
Okay. We'll listen to him shortly, but my colleague, Max Oragba, has returned to that particular stretch, and he reports that, in fact, there's work, actual work, being done on that stretch right now to indeed justify the pronouncements we're hearing, not only from the minister but from the MP from the area, who are both assuring, giving specific timelines for when that project will be complete. Listen to Master Baba.
After many days of inactivity, I'm here on the 7.5 kilometer Lekma stretch. Some real work and real action has started after agitation by residents. What you can hear in the background is the compactor on site. I have with me here President of the Residents Association, Emmanuel Metal Nunu.
I thank Multimedia a lot because you have a very, very, very big platform and you've helped to create a lot of awareness, and I think this is being done. I just pray that it's not a 9-day wonder, because as citizens and residents of Teshin, we are going to hold the government accountable and make sure that the road is fixed. We are not going to use this for any kind of political campaign, because we know that it's the residents and the citizens solely that have caused this awareness and agitation with a joint collaboration of Multimedia for this to be done. And I thank your network very much. After you came here, we are seeing this, and I pray that you come back again and inspect what they are doing. All glory goes to all residents of Teshin, the Drivers Association, the residents around Agbliza, Lekma, La Scala. We thank you all. Let's continue the good fight and lift the name of Teshin high.
It is understandable how this is turning into a Thanksgiving, service.
Please, my name is Jacob Ajete.
Jacob Ajete, I can see your face looks brown.
Oh yeah, really?
It looks brown already from using. Is it as a result of using the stretch?
Yeah.
Tell me, how bad is the situation for you?
The station, the road has been this way for a very long time. Every now and then they've been putting sand on it, but we don't see any improvement. But when I came to see this project, I'm very happy that for the ongoing project.
And let me tell you that our taxis are just like a pig, because you can't watch them and you can't bath them. Because of the nature of the road, the taxis are so bad that even if you wear white, you can't even sit in a taxi. And look at a pregnant woman giving birth in a taxi that you can be in, and you are seeing the ground just in front of you. Yeah, we thank God and we thank the residents and we thank the Joy FM for coming into our aid, and we pray that this road continue.
Well, you heard the residents interacting with Maxwell Agbagba there. Though they are happy, they are being cautious in being happy. They are saying that it shouldn't be a 9-day wonder. But the MP for the area has also been speaking to us, as well as the Minister, Roads and Highways. He's been not spoken about this matter in a long while. We'll hear from the Minister shortly, but let's hear from Dr. Okuboy, MP for the area.
What all of us wanted, like I mentioned when I was in your studios, is for the road to be fixed. And I said that I'd started this campaign about 2 years earlier. And all of you added your voice. We just thank the president. Look, this project was started in 2003. We've all been working hard to make sure that it is completed. I know you added your voices to it. As we speak, we are all grateful to the president. We are grateful to Multimedia. We are grateful to the people of Teshi for having patience. We've gotten assurance from the Roads Minister that this will continue until the road is finished.
So you can assure that you are following through with this and work will not stall.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not to sleep like I always do. Remember, it came out even from the ministry statement that 2 contractors had been engaged earlier. They were given the contract and couldn't deliver. All these contractors who were given the contract, I followed them every day to evaluate and monitor. I'm going to do the same with this contractor to make sure that at the end of the day, what all the people want, what we want to achieve as in saving lives, protecting the people, that's happening. Yes.
But when are we finishing this project? Do we know?
Well, really, I mean, when I talked to the contractors, they told me that if things go according to plan, within a maximum of 12 months, they should be able to finish this 7.5 kilometer dual carriage. That is what they told me, that within 12 months, with full works active around 24/7, they should be able to complete the works.
You heard that the MP for the area.
Well, the good thing for people who live there is that it's not only the MP who's been speaking. The Roads and Highways Minister himself has just also added his voice to the commitment to indeed complete that particular stretch.
No journalist can detract my attention. I work with journalists to help our country. So you see what is going on, and I'm giving 6 months. And by 6 months' time, I will come here with you and follow me, put pressure on me. 6 months' time from today, I will come here with you, and I'm telling the people of the Jokuku constituency, it's not only this road. This road, they haven't seen anything. I am tackling a number of the arterial roads in Honorable Okoboy's constituency. By 2020, the people of the Jokuku constituency will see the road infrastructure President Akufo-Addo's government at the Ebemawon. It's not only this dual carriage. We are finishing this in 6 months' time. I want to plead with the people of this constituency that they should be calm, they should be cool, and by extension, the people of this country. All roads cannot be done in one day at the same time, simultaneously across the nation. It's humanly impossible. Demonstrations, people can draw our attention to the critical roads that they have. There's nothing wrong with that. We are determined, say, you're fixing all roads, but nobody will be able to mean set agenda. And my say agenda be wo na say papa constructive na say be kafra nyansa ewo mu a why not yebefa don't take camera and come and stand here. Those who want to embark on that route omra mi ministry ochina memma won the bad roads are Ghana na one cross one office or Accra. Now one move from region to region. Now one encore broadcasting AVO. Yeah, one crowd they broadcast, they call us, and we are working with them. Journalists, you should help us to develop our nation. Now, mumma yemfa ehu and share yenkrofu. You will create vision and yenimajuma.
Now, if you live in and around the Lekma area and you've used this road, and so that is the minister that I want to hear from you, speak to us. 0244340437. It's our WhatsApp line. You heard the minister there. He says 6 months. That road will be fixed. He's speaking very passionately about it. If you use that stretch tonight, or you are on it as we speak and listen to us, I want to hear from you on our WhatsApp lines. And right now, some of you have already been sending us messages on this.
So Nioko in Teshi has sent one. He says, "Congratulations, Joy FM, for helping the people of Lekma have our roads fixed. Joy FM is the only network that opens the ears of the government. You are the mouthpiece of this government." But there's another statement, message also from another listener. This time, Matilda says she lives at Pantang on the Agbogbo Road, and Ajua Safo is supposed to be our MP. She is your MP. The last time we saw her here was in 2016. She promised to fix our roads. The roads are bad. Cars are breaking down. In emergency situations, one can be sure that he or she will die. And he's saying she's congratulating us for the good work we've done for the Lekma Road. Please, we need help. That's in the Agbogbo area.
Okay, so those are a few of your messages on the subject. There's more that we'll share with you in shortly, right after sports. And my colleague Hans Mensah, fresh off the back of the AFCON, fantastic work Fantastic work you guys did on the commentary and all. I mean, I was one of those who muted my TV and was listening to commentary each time. So yeah, I mean, really broke fresh grounds as far as this is concerned. Are the boys back from?
Not yet. I'm sure they'll be arriving later tonight. So.
Good. What do you have in the headline?
Right. So Kumasi Asante Kotoko, of course, have been drawn against Kano Pillars for their CAF Champions League preliminary tie, and goalkeeper Fatao, he plays in the Nigerian top flight for Enugu Rangers, knows Kano Pillars inside out, and has the following advice for the Porcupine Warriors.
Kano Pillars is a good side. They have a lot of fans, like the way Kotoko have fans, and they are a big team in Nigeria. They are just, I think, the second biggest club in Nigeria if you take out Enyimba. They should expect a good game, and Kano Pillars like to play they like to play ball, they like to keep the ball, they like possessing. So Kotoko should expect something like that. If Kotoko can hold them and don't allow them to start attack from the back, I don't think they'll have a plan B, because they like to play. That's what their fans like, to play the ball from behind. So if Kotoko can hold them and then give them pressure for them not to start attack from behind, I think they can have something. They have good players. Their captain is about 35 years old and is very intelligent. He can play free kick, he can score. He's not a striker, he's a midfielder, but he can score, and he have a good technique when it comes to set pieces. So they should be careful with him. And they have, Nigeria, if a Nigeria player even don't have skill, for strength, they have strength.
Right, so that's a free scouting report from Fatao to Kumasi Asante Kotoko as they prepare to play against Kano Pillars. That's your sport.
Thank you very much, Hans Smith.
Let's stay on roads. It's time to prosecute recalcitrant pedestrians who abandon footbridge. And this is the thing, really. This is the thing about this story that really gets me. And this is Adenta, where I lived. And last year, residents there were up in arms demanding that the footbridges be fixed because people were dying. The footbridges, many of them have been fixed. Guess what? The residents who protested
are not using them.
They're not using the footbridges.
They've complained about,
they are not using the footbridges. Well, journalist Komla Dome reports some pedestrians continue to defy the orders of security stewards and cross the road with just a few using the footbridges.
The anger of a people triggered by a pedestrian knockdown on a highway notorious for road accidents. The November 2018 violent demonstration will forever be remembered by many as the protesters blocked the road, burned tires and clashed with police as they showed anger at the unavailability of footbridges. Many had been knocked down, but the death of a WAS student was one too many for the residents.
I was knocked down some time ago. They should fix the bridges for us.
My brother was knocked down. When was it started? Until now, nothing is being done about it.
It was a collective reminder to a nation and a people determined to change a negative narrative that never again should anyone be killed by a speeding vehicle on the stretch. 6 of the abandoned footbridges will be awarded to contractors to complete work and fix ancillary parts for pedestrian use. Today, 4 of the 6 footbridges have been completed and open for pedestrian use. But Joy News has witnessed a distressing spectacle of people still crossing the road dangerously from one end to another.
It's been more than 20 minutes of observing the flow of traffic. I've counted as many as 15 individuals who have abandoned the footbridge and have dangerously crossed over from one side to the other side.
Kennedy and Ben are taxi drivers right in front of a tot to teen school at Adenta. They tell me why some of the pedestrians have abandoned the footbridge.
The pedestrians say the bridges are too long. It takes them longer to cross the road.
From here, some of the pedestrians fight police stewards who are stationed along the stretch to ensure the right thing is done.
Some argue and quarrel with the police officer stationed on the stretch.
The situation in front of the West Africa Senior High School is no different. What would it take to get these pedestrians to simply do the right thing?
I think the solution is to find some recalcitrant pedestrians and they must be arrested. A police reinforcement is required to deal with the problem.
Our team saw some individuals shamelessly running across the highway, even worse, talking on the mobile phone. It's time for some drastic action to be taken, lest the riots of November 8, which left several people injured and caught up in the crossfire, will be in vain, and government's investment in the project won't have been wasted. Do the right thing.
Colandum there with that report. Of course, the Residents Association have been clamoring for some, stringent measures to be taken such that these residents will not be crossing the road. But we've been joined on the phone by Head of Education, Research and Training at the MTTD of the Ghana Police Service, Superintendent Alex Obing. We are grateful for your time here on NEWSNITE. So we clamored for footbridges to be fixed. Now 4 of them have been fixed, yet residents are not using them. Can they be arrested?
Thank you very much for the opportunity and good evening. I think it's a sad situation, knowing that between January and 30th of June, half year, about 378 out of the 1,252 dead on our route are pedestrians, and about 2,500 about are injured. And we also are very aware how to protect ourselves, particularly as vulnerable as we are on the road, by making profuse use of facilities such as footbridges and pedestrian walkways and crossings. And so we are thankful that, first of all, these facilities are being completed, and we hope that will be sustained interest and sensitization, supported by robust enforcement eventually.
Yes, but as you say that robust enforcement, etc., people, as we know, as we've just illustrated, people they are not using the footbridges; they are crossing the roads. 2 questions quickly. 1, does the law allow you to arrest pedestrians who do that?
Yeah, I think the Road Act is clear that pedestrians are expected to use designated crossing points such as the footbridges that have been provided, and those who flout it are supposed to be arrested and put before court after investigations.
Fantastic. So the next question then becomes, on this particular stretch, knowing what we all did together to get the government to build the bridges, can you please say to us that we'll be enforcing that regulation and that, in fact, arresting a few people to serve as an example?
I think moving on, that's going to be the other strategy among other things that we are going to deploy on the road, and we are counting days for all the 6 footbridges to be completed, fixed with the median barricaded, so that few that will be jaywalking, police will target them and wardens and apprehend him and then investigate and put them before court. Why not? But let us also take this opportunity as a way of also sensitizing, particularly Ghanaians and also those who live on that corridor between Firestone and Zongo Junction, and between Zongo Junction and La Quanta 9, and between La Quanta 9 and Reach Junction, and between Reach Junction SDA, and between SDA and WAS on this corridor, that we clamored for this safe facility. It's been provided. What is required of us now is to use it. What I'm happy about also is that, particularly the schools that are back the road, the majority of the people prefer using the footbridges.
Yeah.
We expect the rest of the public
to also use those footbridges. Grateful that you joined us with that quick info on that.
That's the Head of Education, Research and Training at the MTTD. But just before we go, though, let's do our Joy Clean campaign. 5 women have been arrested by the KMA Environmental Health Team for preparing food under unhygienic conditions at the Adum Railways area in Kumasi. Erastus Asaridonko has more.
You can only call this place perhaps a sewage dump or something, but this is where kenke sold on the streets in Kumasi comes from.
This makeshift market sits within a filthy environment. Liquid waste from a stagnated pool of urine and human waste flows freely through the environment. But this is home to some of Kumasi's bulk supply points for local food, kenke. The mass production of kenkey is done in the midst of packed waste close to this choked drain. This pool of black wastewater flows from this stinking pool located behind this wall, which separates the cooking joint from the twin public toilets at Adum. The aroma from the fufu and soup is swallowed by the stench from here. Operators admit the place is not suitable for cooking, but wants the team to allow them to continue with their business.
I admit the situation here is bad. It wasn't like this. The gutter has made it worse.
They were marched to the Ridge police station after disobeying an order from the sanitation team to stop operating. They are being processed for court.
When the police bail you, or someone below, I don't have any problem. But by the law, no, 57, or say I can arrest without warrant. So I'm arresting you without warrant to the police, and then I prepare you before court. That's all that I'm going to do.
Your area could be next. Keep Kumasi clean.
And that's big ups to our colleagues in Ashanti region, Lava Firm, Irasa Sari Donko, and others who are also pushing this hard as far as that is concerned in that part of the country. Thank you very much for joining us here on NEWSNITE, and don't forget that hashtag defend media freedoms, and it's gonna be something that we'll push. Another hashtag that we're pushing quite heavily earlier this year. Disband party militias. Now there is a concrete outcome that we've seen as far as that the whole process is concerned, that you participated in and others as well. Parliament had passed the bill. We're going to delve into that in detail with some exclusive interviews, special tomorrow on News. I want to stay with us for that as well. My name is Evans Mensah.
I am MFR Power. Do stay tuned for That's My Opinion. But later on PM Express also, we have that interview with Dr. Rekon Brobe.